I know you don't need me or anybody to tell you to take care of your health. It's something that we hear over and over and over all of our lives. But what does it mean? And what are the key factors that we really need to focus on for our daily health, our longevity, and beyond that, like the quality of life? I'm going to just kind of quote a couple of things here. According to the World Health Organization, up to 80% of heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes can be prevented through lifestyle changes. Lifestyle changes. There's research that has been published that suggests that lifestyle factors account for a significant majority of chronic disease risk. So even when genetics are present, we have a lot of power in our health, in how we can affect and impact our health. And people who followed 5 key lifestyle habits lived 10 to 14 years longer than those who didn't. Those healthy habits are healthy weight, regular exercise, quality nutrition, no smoking, moderate alcohol. So in short, genetics may load the gun, but lifestyle pulls that trigger. Today's a tough day for me, and I'm recording this on a Sunday. Once again, I'm going to make this a quick episode, but I really think and hope that there's a golden nugget in here for you to encourage you to really take steps in your health. And if you are on a fat loss journey, working on your fat loss, really wanting to make that a lifestyle, I want to encourage you to focus on your health. When you focus on your health, everything will change and those things will follow. Let's get into it. Hey girl, welcome back to another episode of Rock That Fitness with Anna Rockstar. Just me and you, girl. I'm going to do my best to try to, I want to make this not a very long episode, but I definitely want it to be impactful. I want to speak to your heart, and I want to share from my heart what's happening in my life and why I'm inspired to continue to show up here in this podcast, because it's Sunday again. I'm not making this a habit, but we're going on day 9 of my mother in the ICU, in critical condition. She's had some improvements, but still very critical. And it's Sunday, and I've got lots of responsibilities, but I wanted to show up because I have something to share from my heart and to yours. And, being a nurse, it makes it even that much more, I don't know, it just makes it hard because I'm in the ICU and I know what's happening and I know what's going on. And I want to be there for my mom beyond being a nurse and all that. Like, that's my mom. It's even that much harder, I think, when it's your parent or somebody that you really love. And so, like I said, we're going on day 9 here. And just to give a quick update for those of you who have been following me. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your love and your support, and especially your prayers through this time. I feel it. I really feel it. And I cannot thank you enough for that. So been sitting a lot in the ICU and being there for my mom. And she's, just to let you guys know what's happening, she had exacerbated symptoms of her CHF and her COPD, which was very serious the night that she went into the hospital. And so now what we know now is that she has a severe case of pneumonia. She's being treated for that. But her lungs are really struggling. She's struggling for her lungs to work, which means when I say work, it's not like, let's just pump a bunch of oxygen inside of her, because the gas exchange that happens in our lungs is something that is more than just getting oxygen. It's also blowing off the CO2. We breathe in oxygen, we blow off CO2, and her lungs are not doing that very well, which then creates a situation in her blood that is damaging, right? Because we have acid buildup in the lungs because CO2 is acidic. And so I don't want to get into the details of that, but this is the stuff that we deal with. The body is amazing. The way that our body has been created and functions is just a phenomenal machine. It's mind blowing when you truly understand how it functions. And so her kidneys have definitely taken a turn, and she's never had kidney problems in the past, but her kidneys are not functioning. So then here's what happens. The kidneys are not processing things, and when she's not flushing out, she's had to have dialysis because of this. And she's never had any history of kidney problems. So, it's tough. And this is the complication we're dealing with right now. She is finally extubated. Again, this was the second attempt to extubate her, and this time, so far, so good. She's in a BiPAP machine with a mask covering her nose and her mouth fully for increasing pressures and documenting tidal volume in the lungs and that kind of stuff. But again, without the body blowing off that CO2, we have a buildup of that acid inside of the body. And so the pH balance is way off. And for her right now, what that means is she's not fully coherent. She has confusion because it does affect, naturally it's going to affect the chemistry of the brain. Her kidneys are not functioning very well at all, like not producing, so then we continue to have toxins building up in the blood. So that's what's going on. And I'm still hopeful that she is on the mend, but she's got a ways, and it's still very, very critical. It's causing me to really reflect so much on the importance of health and fitness. Like, I'm always thinking about health and fitness, I talk a lot about fat loss, and I talk about strength training and building our muscles and getting stronger, which is true. Like, all this stuff is important. But today I just want to touch on the truth about prevention, because I remember, when I was in nursing school, one of the things when I would go through clinicals and I was in med surg, and we were taking care of patients, on those floors, most of the time, like 99% of the time, these situations were people who just didn't take care of their health, basically. And so they're in the hospital because there's system breakdowns having to do with lifestyle. And that's why, for me, it's so important for my mission is to work on the prevention side. We don't have to end up like that. That's not how it was intended. And it doesn't matter where you are in your journey of life, you can still make improvements in your health. You can definitely make improvements in your health by making some lifestyle changes. And some of the things I want to talk about, I'm going to talk about this kind of stuff, but I just want to remind us all that it really comes down to habits and habit formation and building those habits one habit at a time, depending on what it is. And, for me, I am not perfect. I also have a history of not taking care of myself. If you don't know, I spent many years drinking alcohol, and not in a way that was excessive necessarily. Yes, definitely many times. And who knows how that has impacted my body, right? But it's not that. It's like, when are you going to take charge of it? And I have a history. In the past, there were 14 years where I smoked cigarettes on and off. And I finally quit when I was in nursing school, when I understood gas exchange and the damage of the lungs. Crazy, right? But yeah, that history is in our bodies. When people end up in the hospital with whatever the ailment is, whatever the condition is, it's not something that just happened. It's something that was building up and created that situation. And we have so many things we can do. And so today I just want to talk a little bit about the systems of the body so that you can think about why it's important that we do these things. Because I can tell you all day long, you need to eat your veggies, you need to eat your fruits and vegetables, make sure you're getting plenty of fiber, make sure you're plenty of protein in your diet for your muscle and all that kind of stuff, and getting plenty of sleep. I can tell you these things, but I think it's important that we, from time to time, just take a moment and reflect on how the body functions and how these systems work together and why we need to do this and what happens if we don't. I don't want to get overly detailed when it comes to the medical side of things. But I just, let me just talk about this real quick here. There's a lot of things we can do to prevent these things, and it does have to do with daily habits stacking over time. Because like I said, most people don't end up in a crisis overnight. It's the result of years of small decisions and habits. So let's make this practical. Heart health. So what I want to talk about is heart health, lung health, brain health, kidney health, liver health. Just touch on these things, digestive. And we can get into the details of each of these, but I'm not going to. Today it's just a gentle reminder of how you can make a big difference with small decisions every day in your health. So let's talk about heart health. The big risk, right, is hypertension and heart disease. And the prevention pillars, like a lot of things, strength training, walking, which, you already know this, and managing body fat. And your blood pressure, becoming aware, knowing what your blood pressure is, because blood pressure puts if your blood pressure is high, you're putting a lot of pressure on your heart, and your heart's having to work harder to pump blood. Nutrition, whole foods, right? We already talked about that, but your heart loves consistency in these things. And so while, I believe it's very important that we focus on strength training, primarily muscle strength and mass, don't forget about your heart and your lungs. Avoid smoking, right? Because smoking is damaging to the lungs, and staying active with cardio to maintain all of these things, to maintain healthy breathing. And so the heart and the lungs, that's the thing with cardio. I don't talk a whole lot about it, but whenever I think about cardio, I know a lot of women think, well, I just need to get more cardio in so I can lose weight, or I can shed the fat. And while that's helping to burn calories and all that, really the important part here is the fact that you want your heart to be strong. And that's what cardio does. Cardio works your heart, but your heart loves consistency, and intensity is what we want to avoid. It's not about how intense, because I know a lot of women like to get in there and get those, sweat. By the way, sweat is not an indicator of a great workout. Cardio, if you're pursuing cardio, like I switched how I think about it. For me, it is about my lungs, and it is about my heart. It's about lung and heart health. Having the capacity, breathing, making sure your lungs are opened up and getting that oxygen in and blowing out that CO2, and then your heart pumping and stronger. How do you want to get your heart to be stronger? You want to exercise. You want to do some cardio. Ideally, if you can get in 150 minutes a week, that would be awesome. But if you haven't been able to get up to that, break that up over the week, however many, 4 times a week, 5 times a week, divide that up, how much time you can put into it to start. If you don't have that yet, build up. Don't just go right into it. Like, just start small. What can you do? Start walking, maybe doing some baby jog. But the importance of that, because I'm like blown away about how the body works, how our heart and lungs work together, and how we keep a strong heart. We want to make sure that, we want to work on, if we have weight to lose, let's think about our health. Because when we think about being healthy and how having that excess weight is putting a lot of pressure, it's making our heart work harder because it's having to really push a load. And then, of course, when we have excess fat in our body, it's not just what you see on the outside. All of our organs are covered with visceral fat, and that is also putting a strain on the body. So, that's something to be thinking about. So if you haven't been doing cardio, just start walking and getting in the habit. Again, it's going to come down to habits. But today I'm working on sparking, that fire in you to know that you can make a difference and just get started. So let's talk a little bit about brain health, cognitive decline. So when I was talking about my mom being in the hospital, she's with that pH balance is off because her body isn't blowing off the CO2. And that's acidic to the body. And that's why right now she's confused. And that's why, we need to take care of these things. Why your lungs matter, why your heart matters, why these systems, what they're doing, right? Isn't it cool to understand what the systems are doing. And I don't know about you, but just understanding how the systems work and why they do what they do helps me, I don't know, get excited and motivated to stay on it, to stay on taking care of it. Exercise will help you with your brain. It's going to help you with your cognitive abilities. It's going to help you prevent cognitive decline and dementia, because think about it, is that circulation going, getting that blood flowing, bringing the nutrients and everything that it needs to all the systems of your body is going to help you. So exercise is very, very important for brain function. Getting plenty of sleep. Now, I say plenty of sleep, I'm talking about optimal sleep, right? Getting optimal sleep, because you may get 8 hours of sleep, but that doesn't mean it was optimal. I'm not going to get into that, but it is very important. And controlling our blood glucose, the sugar in our blood, because sugar, high sugars in our blood, as you may or may not know, is very, very damaging. And then we end up with problems with our insulin levels, because our insulin, we become insulin resistant. Our body isn't going to produce it. It's not going to be taking that sugar and putting it into our muscles to do the work. And then we end up with sugar overload in our blood. And doing that consistently is where we start to go into pre-diabetic and then diabetes, which is a whole nother disease. But these are preventative things. And I'm talking about the brain health, but it is important because maintaining our healthy blood glucose level is going to impact the brain. Everything impacts everything. Exercise is linked to reduced risk of cognitive decline, basically. So kidney health, this one right here, is one of the things that I really wanted to highlight today, because I know that as we're aging, we think we may be thinking we're having trouble holding it, holding our pee. But ladies, please make sure you're staying hydrated and find ways to get to the restroom, to use the restroom, because holding it is it's very unhealthy for your body. It's very unhealthy for your kidney function. And by the way, your kidneys and your heart work together. Like I said, I'm not going to make this complicated, but they work together. And you want to stay hydrated. So don't just avoid drink water because you don't want to go to the restroom. That's one of the things that some people do. They avoid drinking too much water because they don't want to go to the restroom. But now you're causing damage to your body and your kidneys. We need to stay hydrated. It's also going to control toxins in your body. It's going to control blood glucose levels in your body and pressure, blood pressure. This all plays a role. Your heart, your kidneys, and your blood pressure. All of that stuff is working together. Crazy, right? So you want to avoid doing that, because we can end up with metabolic issues. And when I say metabolic, I'm talking about your pH balance in your body. And because kidneys are not going to fail overnight. They're going to quietly decline over time. And that's what happens when we don't take care of blood glucose. Okay, staying hydrated, and then letting our body flush those things, those toxins out. And then liver health. Fatty liver is a very common thing these days. I won't get into that one. But this is another thing that is prevented by managing our body fat. Limit ultra-processed foods and excess alcohol, obviously. And I've myself, for the past couple of years, one of the biggest reasons, this is the biggest reason why I let go of alcohol in my life, was for my health. And for my physical health and my mental health, all those things. And believe me, girl, I tried let's just take a break from it. Let's just limit it, all that kind of stuff. But who was I fooling? I finally decided, there isn't anything good for me here. So just wanted to touch on that. You don't have to, and also speaking of liver health, you don't have to drink alcohol for liver issues to be a problem anymore, because lifestyle is playing a huge role in this. And the food industry knows this. They totally know what they're doing by the additives, the making it extra palatable with fats and flavors and all the sugars. So if you are in the habit of eating fast food regularly, eating out regularly, eating junk food and that kind of stuff, Here's just one thing, like what's one habit you can start working on to like eliminate that and start adding in, instead of thinking to yourself, I need to stop this. I need to take this out. Let's also add. Let's add healthy whole foods, healthy whole drinks, beverages. And that just leads me right into digestive health, gut health. And so when I'm saying gut health, I'm talking everything from the time you swallow food to the time, you have your, expel it, right, from your bowel movements and all that kind of stuff. But gut health, absorption, and inflammation. And when we start really shifting how we're eating and giving the things that our body needs, the way that our body was intended to process foods, our gut health is going to start healing. Because this is a big problem. That gut health is a big problem because so many people most of their diet is this processed food, and now we're not supporting what the digestive system needs when it comes to the gut health. When I'm like the microbiome in there is all out of whack. When we can eat healthy, we're eating our vegetables and fruits and all of these whole foods, then we can reestablish that balance, the microbiome, and those healthy bacteria in our gut that does the work that needs to be done. It doesn't stand a chance when it's always, overloaded with all this processed food and junk food. And me, I'm going to have some junk food from time to time, but I'm not talking about the time to time. I'm talking about most of the time. And of course, digestive health is going to be impacted by your stress, right? So we want to manage our stress with exercise and rest and eating healthy. So anyway, I just wanted to come in here today on this podcast episode to just remind how important it is to take care of our health. And here's the thing, like I said in the beginning, I know that many of us, we have been, these messages have come into our minds, like we want to look great and sexy and healthy and feel so good and confident in our body. And there isn't anything wrong with that at all. I think that's fine. I mean, I wanted that too. But when I think back to my own health and when I turned things around, and back in 2017, I was 46 and I was having heart issues. They wanted to do a heart procedure and they wanted me to go on heart medication. And I was really afraid for my health at that time. And as you may or may not know, over 60 pounds overweight. That's when I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, this has got to change. And it wasn't a matter of if, it was when. So as I started my path, I made my decision, I started my path on my fat loss. And that was the big thing for me at the time. Like I wanted to lose 50 pounds, but I was very unhealthy. And that is what scared the heck out of me. I wanted my kids to have their mom here. That scared me. I didn't want to leave my kids without their mom. And, now it's goes even deeper now, right? Because I want to live I know you want to live a long, healthy life so you can be there for your family, your grandchildren. And now it's like not just grandchildren, but great grandchildren, and see all the things like what really matters in life. And when we can really just think about focusing on our health, because if we don't focus on our health, all of these systems that I just talked about are slowly dying, declining. And then we will end up in this place sooner or later. Somehow it's declining and we're going to end up in a place we don't want to be. And I don't know about you. I'm pretty sure if you're like me, you want to make a change that is not just preventative, but also we don't want to just survive. We want to thrive, and you can, and it's never too late. So wherever you're at on your health and your fitness journey, when you start making these little lifestyle changes, and I want to encourage you, take action today. And it matters, that one thing, the compounding effect. What's one thing you can do in your nutrition, in your exercise, in your daily life to manage? Because I know you're busy. I know you have a lot going on. I know you're working hard. You're managing a lot of responsibilities. But none of that's going to matter if your health is failing you. So if we can just get back to the basics and the idea and concept of this, once we focus on our health and stacking habits to improve our health, the beautiful thing is that the fat loss will happen. That will be a result. And then you start getting in the gym and doing your strength training, changing your habits, one little habit at a time. And now you're going to continue to build one habit onto the next. But it all starts with your why: to be healthy, to be strong for you, and to have not just a long life, but a long, healthy, active life to be there for your family and to really live life to the fullest. Because let's be honest, working day and night, not getting enough sleep, stressing our bodies, not eating healthy that's not living life to the fullest. Right? And I know you don't need me to tell you that. I'm just here to tell you I love you, and I just want to encourage you to really think about your health and taking care of your health. Which brings me at the end of this here, I want to remind you that if you want to join me for my next Kickstart program, which, by the way, I had to postpone. I chose to postpone Kickstart round 14. It's going to happen at the end of May. So if you were thinking about it, you were on the fence, you still want to join, please join. I'm going to limit the spots to 23 women. That way I can give my total, give the focus and time it deserves to you. But also, so go to the show notes and check that out for my Kickstart, my 6-week Kickstart program. But also, you don't need to wait for that. Girl, if you are ready and you need help, I want to invite you just to join Rock That Fitness membership, and that's also in there. And by the way, we're not like most programs. I care about you, and you'll know this because I will be in touch with you while you're inside of Rock That Fitness. I know my ladies. I know all of them. I know it might seem crazy, but I do, and I deeply care. So we're not like some program that you're going to join in some community and hide in the background and then not get results and then leave. That is not the goal. If you want a community that's strong and encouraging, uplifting, and supportive, and to help you and have your coach right alongside you, giving you step-by-step guidance and things that you didn't even realize, so that you can have real change and lasting change, then come on in, girl. Anyway, the most important thing today is I really want to just leave you with this. Please, for yourself, take care of your health. All right. I love you. Self-care, self-love all day, every day. Do I have your word? Good. Let's rock.